problem is when people learn, even if they get a good grade in first year Greek, if it sits there, it's just not enough. First of all, they won't remember it. Yep. But it's also, you start losing all the, Paul says, uses an imperfect tense, and I was destroying the church. Mm-hmm. Really? Really, Paul? You thought you were destroying that against which the gates of hell will not, can't beat them? I said, that's kind of an arrogant statement. Well, I mean, you can know it's an imperfect. You can get that at the end of the first year, but do you know there's conatives and tendential and other kinds of perfect? I was wanting to, right. I was trying to, I was starting to. I mean, that's all second and third year stuff. And just because you know it's an imperfect doesn't really help you. Right. It's the fine tuning. And I mean, in Greek, for the rest of us, I actually covered 2 years of grammar in a 1 semester class because I don't have to do students don't have to do all the memory work. But the real danger is, even if you learn Greek and you learn it well, that's not enough. There's way more. I'd say learning language is an art and a science. It's a science in that there's paradigms and whatnot to learn, vocabulary to learn, but it also is an art. And the art just takes time. I wrote a little book for Zondervan. I'm sure you guys know, I was the chair of the ESV New Testament for 10 years. Yeah. And then when that was done, I was out for about 3 years. And then I was talking to Robin, my wife, and I said, I really miss translation, but there's nothing I can do about that. And the next day, I got an email from Doug Moo, the chairman of the CBT committee that controls the NIV, inviting me in as a, quote, friendly critic.
Wow.
And it was like, you want to talk about God's answer. And it was, I had a senior moment. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, and what was really interesting was that the ESV and the NIV are really different kinds of translations. And I wrote a little book for Zondervan called What I Learned About Greek Since Coming on the CBT, because there really were a lot of, the ESV, the English style was not didn't play as big a role as it does in the NIV. The translations are all different. And just, how do I say this naturally in a way that English speakers around the world would understand? I mean, it was right. And I just kept, and I'd already had Greek for 30 years. Right. And it was a good learning curve. In fact, I didn't make any real suggestions on the NIV, at least not aggressively, for 2 or 3 years until I could kind of figure out there's a rhythm in translations, and you need to figure out the rhythm before you start trying to change things. So it was just to say, even after 30 years, I'm still learning. So, if you take 1 year of Greek, you really need to commit to 2, because at the end of 2, and then if you then make yourself read good commentaries that use Greek, then you can do a good job. But even if you just stop at 1, that's the danger point.